Welcome to DT Madness, Chronicles from the Third Life, episode 79, January 6th, 2024. So glad you could make it. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. And I guess we need a nickname. This is just coming to me. We need a nickname for all of you who are podcast listeners so I can give you a collective shout out. I don't know if you all want to be mad or part of the madness, but send me a message on the Instagram if you come up with a good nickname, or shoot me a text if you got it like that. You can't let me know on Facebook because I definitely have been off of Facebook about a month now, and it's just been glorious. And I realize it really has made an impact. So much so that Tuesday night will be our first town council meeting in a good while, and you know it's kind of how I kind of see it as my responsibility to post what has happened on there. That's been my job. That's been my shtick. That's been my MO. How many things can I say? Um, but I don't know. I don't even think I will when it comes up. We got some interesting things happening, some exciting things happening. Voting on hopefully bringing a coffee shop, a locally owned coffee shop to town. Um, but anyway, no Facebook from me. So just a couple of things that seen and spotted in the old Google search history, just to let you know some things that I've been thinking about, and then we'll jump to New York. Over the break, over the Christmas break that we have had, it was about 3 weeks for the kids because of the way our exam schedule works now. Um, you can get exempt from a lot of exams, and even so, if you have to take a couple, it was still about a 3 week break for the kids. Solid two for me. So we had a lot of time to come up with different things. Sam has been home entire break as well, so it's been wonderful to have the Gucci fam here, five strong. But we're Big Bang Theory people for sure. It's one of those shows that's on constant repeat. I heard Sydney say this yesterday that she knows what's going to happen. It's really good. It's a really good show. It's hilarious. All the different characters are interesting and funny. Um, but she knows what's going to happen, and that sounds like something my dad would have said for sure. But it's almost like just background music sometimes. I mean, we watch it, but we anyway. We made a bracket. We just did random drawing because if you see a bracket like that, then obviously you're already picking who's number one. So we just did a random drawing of 16 different characters. It actually ended up being the top seeds anyway. It worked out pretty good, but it came down to I think we ended up with Sheldon, as the best character. I don't know if you watch Big Bang Theory, but I like Howard Wolowitz. He was tough for me to vote against. He's pretty funny. Penny's character actually is one that gets better and better. Anyway, Big Bang Theory. I don't know if you like it, but it's one of those shows that's probably at the top of our list. Although Sydney's interested in getting into Grey's Anatomy, which comes out in full on Hulu in March, I believe. So that's a lot of seasons, but maybe I'll jump into Grey's. You have to say Grey's, if you got it like that. So um, we 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 have a Super Nintendo that I had when I was a pup, and we got it back from the attic a couple months ago. And we had Legend of Zelda, and I think I've probably told you that I'm the hero of Hyrule, and I had defeated Gannon and rejoined the Triforce. We know we had Metroid, Super Metroid, but we couldn't find it, and so my mom got Isaac Super Metroid, found it online, and gave it to Isaac for Christmas. And so the boys, Sam and Isaac, have been playing it. Mostly Sam. I mean, hours and hours and hours. And Sam remembers. Sam watched my dad. Sam watched Pop play it after supper for the many years that we would go over there almost every night and eat supper, and then during cleanup, my dad would put on the Super Nintendo, and Isaac and Sam in particular would watch. So Sam still remembers, like, that was 10, 12 years ago, or more, and Sam still remembers, like, the places to look, because he it's just pretty fascinating. And but there's this thing called the space jump, and they couldn't figure it out, or the wall jump or something like that, and like they just couldn't get the hang of how to do it. And Sam and Isaac are trading. Isaac's like, give me the controller, and he would show him how to do it. And Isaac actually could figure out how to do it faster than Sam, and Sam would just get frustrated. But he's pretty good at it. Like, even when he gets frustrated, he just continues on, plays on, uh, kind of like he is. But that's been fun to watch. I don't know that I have an answer to this question, but Isaac asked this, or maybe he was asked this in one of his classes. But who who do you think is the best modern actor slash actress? And that's tough for me. I'm a big Leo DiCaprio guy, um, but the guy that plays, I should have looked up his name. Hmm, well, Forrest Whitaker. I don't know. He's pretty good too. But I don't know, man. That's tough. Best actress too. Modern actress. Hmm, I don't know. I don't have any answers for you. It's interesting to think about. Maybe I'll come up with an answer for next time. I'm still into the Oprah's book club. I finished Deacon King Kong, and then I picked up the next one, the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store, which was super heavy. And I think I mentioned this maybe last time. Really good. I'm probably going to pick up the last one that she recommended, the last one of 2023. I can't remember exactly what it's called, um, but you got the internet. You can do internet things. Right now, I'm reading a book called Tinkers, and I don't remember who that one was by. It was a Pulitzer Prize winner. It was recommended and has a foreword by Marilyn Robinson, who wrote one of my favorite collection of books, the Gilead series. It's it's okay. It's not mind blowing. It's not like I can't put it down kind of reading. It's interesting because there's a guy who is part of the story is this guy who's going through the final stages of dying from cancer, and so I watched my dad do that, and so reading kind of from that perspective is really interesting. Um, and I guess that kind of sucks me into the moment of it. But anyway, I'll let you know. I'm about halfway through. I looked up the word loner. I think I am one. Um, yeah, one of my New Year's resolutions is to maybe open myself up for some some relationships. We'll see how that goes. Um, I looked up Tetons National Park or Acadia National Park. We tend to give our kids, they go on a scavenger hunt, and then they have to find, the clue at the end, and the clue at the end is the trip that we're going to take as a family. And we've done some great things over the years, seen Broadway shows, off Broadway shows in Atlanta and Cincinnati and in DC. We've been to baseball parks, we've been to zoos, we've been to the beach, we've been to, mountain cabins. We're definitely going to the Charleston Open, but I don't think we're going to stay down there. And so we wanted to kind of let the kids pick where they wanted to go, and they all kind of agree because they've got their own, preferences and idiosyncrasies and all that kind of stuff, and idiosyncrasies. It's a great word. And they kind of settled on Wrightsville Beach, which is okay, but we're trying to see if we couldn't stretch in a drive up to Acadia. We're not all ready to fly. But I did look up the Tetons. I do have to take them out west sometime. But I got interested in looking at the hike that I made that I've talked about before at the Lake Solitude. I'll give you the short version. I get up there. I'm probably trying to impress this girl. I step in a snowdrift, gash my shin. I'm bleeding out, and I had to do that all the way back home, all the way back down, kind of with snow packed onto it. That jump was 15 miles, up and back, like 14, 15 miles, seven in, seven and a half in, something like that. Pretty, that's pretty baller. I'm just saying. So here's some breaking news. Something I looked up was what the coaching supplement was in North Carolina for tennis coaches, because your boy is going to be the assistant coach this spring, and then our tennis coach is retiring, and so I'm gonna take the reins, or I'm gonna take the rackets, the nets. It's great because my kids play, so I get to have one final season with my daughter, and then my son will be a sophomore, and I've told him he's going to have to respect my authority, and he's not sure what to think about that. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. It'll be a little bit of money that will kind of be money that I do make as mayor now, which probably I won't make in 2 years, leaning towards hanging up the political boots. Um, But yeah, we'll see about all that. Kind of my statement, I guess, for the day. Most of this is really light, but I'm on the Earl Scruggs board, and one of the people that is there leading the meeting. We were talking about fundraising and having a capital campaign for the Earl Scruggs Center, which I'm not usually a fundraiser guy. I'm not usually a let's ask people for money guy, but I will tell you, like the things that the Earl Scruggs Center does for the community, it's just really fantastic. Like they are making efforts to reach out to different communities, especially to kids, um, and not just about music, but definitely centered on music. It's just really fantastic stuff, and bringing in great local art and music to the community. Um, but one of the persons in there, a good Southern Baptist guy who's done fundraising for a long time, was like, I'm hesitant to say this, but if you could pray about what your gift will be from the board and all this kind of stuff, and whatever. And then this other person says, well, since I come from a liturgical background, we don't pray out loud. And then she went, I don't even remember what she said after that because that struck me. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, like liturgical, I don't know if high church is the same thing. I'm not even sure what my terms are here. Um, they, they, they don't say those prayers out loud, which is a beautiful thing to me because that seems to be what Jesus says in Matthew, like go away, go into your closet. Don't pray out here and babble on and on like the the Pharisees do. And that's interesting to me because I always notice like these days there's this big display of how worshipful I am. I make fun of worship face and like anyway, that's interesting to me about the liturgical groups not praying out loud. I saw a great meme that said, "Not all heroes wear capes." Some of us listened to Edna Mode. I looked up Julia Child because Isaac is taking a foods class, food and nutrition, but they're out in these mobile units because construction's going on, and so they can't really cook or anything. It's kind of a bummer because Isaac loves to cook, and so anyway, hopefully that'll get resolved at least by the 9 weeks. But they've been having to watch videos of Julia Child, and her voice is funny to hear Isaac try to mimic. The three things, I guess I mentioned relationships, so I guess it's four, but if I think about a resolution, if I think about things that I'm interested in, um, I want to begin to move into supporting organizations that do promote and do support and do advocate for mental health, especially for men's mental health. Um, I want to learn to. I'm 46 here in just a couple days, and so learning a brand new language, I realize is probably not something that's going to happen, but I'm going to do the best I can to at least be able to speak, perhaps understand some broken Spanish. Um, it's interesting that it took a while for our school's population of Hispanic and Latino uh, students to increase, but it really has increased in these past couple of years. And also want to get into some groups that deal with conservation. And I don't know which one. There's so many. I don't know if that's the Sierra Club. I don't know if it's Ducks Unlimited. I'm not really a hunter, so I don't know. But it just struck me. I was walking through the woods, and I said this to my kids at Christmas. Like I was walking through the woods in the river at the river as I will do, and the birds were all singing, and I just realized like that's always happening. The birds are always singing. Like they're always that bird noise, that bird sounds are always there. But it isn't the same birds. Like there's a bird that's fallen out of the tree probably right now, or whatever. As I was walking through, it's like I don't know what the lifespan of a bird is. It probably not that great. Yet the collective song is always there, and that's true for us too. It's true for humans, and it's true for nature, and so I would say that song always goes on, except for we know that it doesn't necessarily that habitats and you know what I'm saying, like things can be damaged, and I don't know. I want to be more active and more involved and helping out to keep that collective song going. I'm an Americano guy now. I don't just get the standard drip coffee anymore. The Americano, and I go large, I do. I'm not going to Hannah's as much. I got some K cups. Ugh, I know. I thought you said you were for conservation. I know. I'm also getting into hypocrisy. But these are, I don't know, are they environmentally friendly? I'll run through this course and then figure out a better way. But I do like Americanos. I learned the song All of Me by John Legend. I hope you could check it out on my Instagram. And I performed that song for my kids for Christmas because one of the things I wanted to let them know was that I'm trying my best to put all the parts of me together, and that this year my gift to them is to devote all of me to them. It was a special moment, guys. Well, I didn't really have time. This is just a whole different thing, but I did go back to Madison Square Garden. I did fly back up to New York for what we call YEMSG, YEMSG, Madison Square Garden, of course. Um, YEM is a song, You Enjoy Myself. Um, and so the fish nerds call it EMSG, but uh, I was checking the weather for weeks ahead of time just to see what it was going to be like. Not really worried too much about what I needed to pack. I was good on that front. Just kind of concerned if I would, if my flight would be delayed, if my plane was going to have to be de-iced and all that kind of stuff. And sure enough, that big rainstorm that caused some flooding around here, it moved its way up and it ended up delaying my flight. And so I'm like, getting a little nervous because I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to be there on time. There was this one particular song that I didn't want to miss. I missed it, but it's okay. We'll talk about that at the end. Um, so yeah, my flight is delayed. I mean, first of all, I get there hours early. I mean, hours early. Usually I'm there at least 2 hours early. And at this point, I mean, I was like 3.5 hours early. And kind of a good thing, I get there, I park in the long term one parking lot, grab my stuff, get on the bus, take it to the airport, go into the terminal, walk over to the security line, get in, wait there for about, I don't know, 10 minutes, start working my way up. And I realize, because I start to think, okay, what am I going to need to take out of my pockets and all this kind of stuff? What am I going to need to show them? Didn't even bring my wallet. I didn't even bring it. I left it right in the car. So I was just like, dang. Get back on the bus, back to long term one, go to the car, grab my wallet, which has my ID, and so get back on the bus before, the same bus. I was moving that quick. Back to the line, through the place. My bag gets pulled because I guess I had Listerine in there, little travel bottles, got to have your Listerine. And I didn't show them my liquids or whatever. It was no problem, but still, I didn't want that. And but anyway, get to the airport. Flight is delayed once again, about an hour or so now off, maybe hour and a half off. Um, the plane that was supposed to come from New York. That was where the trouble was with the weather. So they worked out a plane to come from Miami, and that was all good. When the plane from Miami got there, I'm just chilling at the hotel. The issue is that my friend David that was coming in got in. He flew overnight, what you call the red eye from Seattle, and so he got there in the morning, but just made one of the most brilliant moves. Like he couldn't get into the hotel until it opened up. I did call ahead and get his name on the hotel so that he could get in when he could get in. But he went to the movies. He went to the movies. He bought a movie ticket so that he could go in there and sleep. And I just thought that was a brilliant move. And he went to see Poor Things, which I don't know. I'm thinking about going to. I'm gonna go see it today. We'll see. But finally got on the plane and got into the seats and everything's rolling along. And then we're sitting there and we're a little bit past departure time, and and I can hear the guys yelling outside, and the little the what do you call that thing, like the ramp thing that sucks onto the side of the door so that people can walk in through. It was stuck and they couldn't roll it away. I'm like, oh my God, like this is that was about 15 minutes. They finally got that thing off. They're like, all right, y'all, this is probably going to be a bumpy ride. We're probably not even going to serve snacks. They did end up serving snacks. It wasn't nearly as bad. I got my Coke. Look, I really wasn't even afraid of flying. Like I've been so afraid of flying. This is one of the things that I've really overcome. Now I'm still bougie D, right? And I like to fly in the front of the plane. Business class is what we call it. And so I'm up there, and that's good for me. I'm It's just worth a couple dollars more for me. And so, I've got my Coke and the snacks. Like, I don't know, they didn't even have the good snacks. I was hoping for the orange cranberry macadamia, no, orange cranberry cookie from Michigan that I had the last time, but they didn't have that. I just had a bunch of other stuff that I didn't want. I ended up getting some cheddar cheese puffed popcorn chips. They were awful. I didn't even eat them on the plane, but they were awful when I got to the hotel. But whatever, whatever. I had gotten my egg and cheese from Starbucks with the fake bacon. I was good, and so rolling on. Finally get in the plane. It really wasn't too bumpy, and we get there, and I did have to pee mid-flight, and I'm on the inside. I like the window to be able to look at the clouds and stuff. It's just fascinating to me, and the way that we grid out everything. We just we don't have very much imagination in architecture. That was another thing I thought about, at least in design. But whatever. I guess we're really efficient. What am I talking about? But we get there. It's not too bumpy. I did shake the person's seat in front of me, trying to dodge on my way out, and they gave me a look back. But whatever, whatever. And we get there. I land. Beautiful. Get off the plane. Grab my stuff because nothing to check. Just straight out the bin. Heading to pick up my lift and um, Aninder was the person to take me to the hotel, and it was about a 45-minute ride, but he made it into a 30-minute ride. And DJ Sus One was on the radio, and it was like the one that you were wanting. This is December 28th, and it was DJ Sus One, and whatever he was mixing up, and this whatever this one woman was rapping about, she says she had pink diamonds on her belly chain and her nipple ring, and I thought rhyming chain with ring was, cutting edge. I did realize on the way to riding with Anender to to the hotel that, man, my right armpit was really, really smelling. And it's just this weird thing about me is that when I get nervous, and it used to be like this when we used to be a part of the Broad River Church, and I got the chance to teach and from the lectern. We didn't really have a pulpit or anything. But when I got the chance to teach from up there a couple times, I would get really nervous. But only my right armpit would smell. Like my left armpit wouldn't smell. So I don't know why my nerves only come out my right armpit, but that's a real thing. So I'm like really conscious of not making this guy's car, smell too bad. But but anyway, I get there, and so I definitely have to wipe my pits off in the hotel and reapply. My guys got some, what kind were they? They were like cool wipes. But cool. Anyway, I didn't use those. I wanted him to save those. We get there, man. Here, my guy is there in the hotel. We're like, we are doing this, and really, like, I wasn't even in the hotel 15 minutes, and we take off and walk to go to Madison Square Garden, which is about 10-minute walk max to probably 10-minute walk from where our hotel is. And because we had floor seats, we had general admission, not seats, like it's just a floor. So on top of the hockey ice, and the basketball floor. And so we get there and we get about mid level, left side soundboard, which is the place to be. And that was amazing. Like the people that we met down there, we had a good amount of space to dance and to get down, and it was, oh man, the show was just, it was just amazing. Like I'm short, and I'm only five. I've been saying 5'10" my whole life, but I measured the other day. Maybe I'm shrinking, but I'm definitely 5'9", and um, so I couldn't, I had to sway back and forth to see over the tall people's heads. But wow, I mean, just wow, the energy in Madison Square Garden is really something. I did my fish wrapped. I counted up all my stats for the year, and I saw 11 different shows in 4 different states, 119 different songs, and none of those songs did I see in the 11 shows more than 3 times, and only a handful, like maybe a third of the 119, were those that they played more than once in different locations. Just a phenomenal year, phenomenal experience. I do know about the half price apps, I know about the half price appetizers and drinks, or food and drinks, that if you get there at 6:30, when doors open, but they didn't have the chicken tendies and fries down on the bottom. They only had burgers and dogs, and I don't eat that. And so I just got a pretzel. It was not great. Um, so I was hungry because, I mean, I'm burning up calories, man, like well over, 15,000 steps, counting dance steps and travel and all of that on all the days. And so I got really hungry, and I went back right during set break, and they had Klondike bars. And oh my God, it was so good that I ended up getting one every single night. Day two, we slept as best we could in the hotel, and we slept for a little while, and we kind of laid around all day because we were both exhausted. But I got up in the morning and went to Old Country Coffee, of course, because that's my people. Got my egg and avocado and cheese bagel, with an Americano, because it's how I roll. And then after a little while, after my guy was able to shake off some of his cobwebs from not sleeping overnight, we went to get some pizza, Vito's. It was real. That was some New York stuff. And then we just decided, let's walk on over to Times Square. It wasn't that far of a journey, and so we walked over to Times Square just to see what was going on. They were constructing the ball, that was going to drop. Not really as tall as I thought it was, um, but still cool. Just tons of people, tons of people from all different. I mean, just different walks of life. People dressed up in different suits. Like, I don't know, man. It was just a bizarre circus. And we both looked at each other like, what are we going to do now? And we were both relieved, I think, that neither of us really wanted to hang out down there. We just wanted to see what it was like. So then we made our way back, and got a smoothie, and walked on, and lounged around a little bit and watched some football, because we had night two of Madison Square Garden, which we went and got in line. And this night we had different sections. These are the seats um, that David's dad had hooked up on accident, but it worked out. and we were row six, man. We were row six, and we're like, that's going to be pretty cool. 101, it's straight away, um, lower bowl, and it's going to be awesome. And we got there, and row six was the front row, just because of the design, like the way that it was. Like 1 through 5 is on the sides, so we're on the front row. No, nobody to obstruct our view. Oh man, just perfect. And the music, the energy that night was, the vibe was just perfect. And this guy, to down below us, down below the plexiglass from us, there were kind of some special seats put up onto the floor just below us. But um, he had a sign that said "Have mercy," first of all, which I don't know if that meant he was looking for a ticket or if he was just carrying it around, but it's almost like he bought two seats, and one of them was for his sign, which was fine. And I took a picture of it, and thinking about mercy and all the different ways that we say "have mercy" is going to be an assignment for my AP seminar class coming up. Whew, I had to get that in. I'll probably talk about that in a week or two when we come back to the madness. But this guy had like a damp do rag. You know what I'm saying? Like a damp bandana. And he was wiping himself off. And that's fine. That's fine. Keep yourself clean. And he was wiping his arms. The thing is, though, is that he was going down inside his shirt and cleaning off his pits and things like that, which also, that's fine. Except for they went to his face last. And I'm just like, why didn't you go to your face first? And me and David are just watching this guy like, oh, anyway, all right. So, and I'm trying to eat my chicken tendies because we're on the level tonight, and I've got my half price apps. You know what I'm saying? I've got my chicken tenders and fries and my Pepsi drink, and because 3.5 years, man, I'm not 3.5 years, but 3 years and 6 days, nothing for me, um, beyond coffee and a little Pepsi Coke once in a while. I do get addicted to sugar, but completely sober for that amount of time. But yeah, there I am. I did go back for a Klondike bar, as I mentioned. Um, After the show, which again was just wow. It was just wow. We walked back, and we're getting ready to settle in, and David's got to wake up early to catch a train, like an hour train ride that's going to take him to the airport, and he doesn't want to miss his flight. And it's like, am I really going to sleep anyway? And I fully understood that. And so I was like, dude, I don't think you should ride the train tonight. I don't think that's what you should be doing by yourself at 1 o'clock, for an hour. I just, I was like, but man, I will help you out with the Uber to get you to the airport. And he did. Like he went on to the airport. And so I think my bro was like awake for probably like 36 hours. I don't know how long it took him to recover. But I think it was worth it. And day three, so day three, as I woke up, I was solo, of course, Old Country Coffee, which I'll go ahead and jump ahead. Like I went to Old Country Coffee and I got my egg and cheese bagel and I got my Americano. And then later on that day, when I came back in at 3:30, because that's what I do, I come back in to get my next coffee drink. And this time I got a blueberry muffin, and it was good. And I like the person in there, she told the person at the register that I get 10% discount, and she knew what I wanted. She started making what I wanted. I'm just saying, man, like being a regular for me, I'm getting overcome with emotion right now. I told him I would see him next year, and I know that. Maybe they do. Maybe they remembered me. I'm just gonna stick with that. But anyway, by myself today, and so I took the walk to the Museum of Modern Art, and it was a good hike. It was I don't know, probably about a 45-minute walk. It wasn't about a mile, a little over a mile, but city walking's different. It was nice and cool that morning, kind of for the first time. The rain had cleared out, but I walked to the Museum of Modern Art, and it was really fascinating. It really was. And I know that people make fun of modern art, and some of it I made fun of. Like there was just this big red field that you're supposed to feel enveloped by. I didn't feel enveloped by it. I didn't really get the Warhol. I don't get the Campbell soup cans. I don't. Maybe I need to read more about it, but there was some Monet in there, and the Picasso stuff was just really amazing to me. But then some of the more modern installations, which use video feeds, and like I don't know, there was this one room that would just make these sounds and these shapes would change, and this humming was going on. Like it was, I don't know, like if you ever seen Tom Haverford, like I had an emotional reaction to a piece of art, man. But it was really amazing. I stood there for a long time. Um, I tried to hit every single uh, collection. I don't know. I might have missed some because it was quite a maze. But this guy in there, while I'm in there, and I had on my Grateful Dead shirt, and so the guy's like, "Did you go to the shows, man?" And he's telling me what the rumor is for New Year's Eve, and I'm like, okay. But anyway, so I did that for a while, and then I was right near Rockefeller Center, so I walked over because I wanted to see what the big Christmas tree was all about. I mean, it was cool, man, but it just wasn't very tall. I guess I thought it was going to be like really, really tall, and it was only really tall, you know. So, but man, I was walking down those roads and it was just so many people. This is December 30th now. And there's this monk, like a Buddhist type monk walking around just like, please, please. And he's handing out beads. And I remember my friend Jody got some beads in Nashville. And so I'm like, okay, I'll take some beads. And so he puts them on my arm and shakes my hand and offers me peace and then has me write my name. And I just wrote Daniel and my location. I just wrote NC. I'm not dumb, too dumb. And so then he's like, okay, what's your pledge? And I'm like, man, I don't have that for you. And so he flips the page and there's a thing for me to sign for Venmo. And I'm like, yeah, man, sorry. I just, I thought we were just exchanging peace here, brother. And so I was like, kind of put my arms out like sorry. And he motioned and he took my beads back and this little crystal he had given me. And I mean, I get it. Like I understand, but I still told him peace. I wanted to give him peace. And so anyway, that happened. I grabbed my smoothie with banana in it, which I don't usually want banana in my smoothie. And I'm talking fast now because I know we're at 37 minutes, but what do you got to do? If you decided to tune into the madness, you know how it rolls. Um, the smoothie was good. I needed something to cleanse me out from all the chicken tenders and Klondike bars. I did take all the showers in the hotel. Like I was doing 3 a day just because by this time I'm so tired that I needed one before I went to the show just to kind of perk me up. And um, so, man, oh God, my skin was just, ugh. Anyway, um, at this show, I was on a different location. I was in kind of the friends and family section. I don't know how I ended up there, kind of at the top, but just off to the side of the stage. If the stage is facing out, I'm on the left side. If I'm looking from the stage, and so I'm on Mike's side, which is a really cool perspective. And I ended up sitting with these really fascinating older people. And this dude Paul, like he would just throw his finger in the air, but not like on beat necessarily. Just whenever he would feel it, he would just throw a point up in the air, and that was kind of how he got down. But I ended up talking to Paul and Muff, and Paul and Muff were worked at the University of Vermont. They worked at the University of Vermont in the '80s with the guys from the band. They walk their dogs with the guys from the band even now, and I was like mostly believing them. Um, and then all these students from the University of Vermont today came up into the section and they're all giving hugs and they all know each other. And so I was like, okay. Um, and did I say he gave me the little tiny wooden guitar? I think I did. But he's just telling me all these stories about Mike and Paige and Trey and Fish and John Fishman. And it was just really cool. And turns out that Muff was a tennis coach. And I looked it up online. And honestly, her name was there. And except for they cut the tennis program recently, and that was just pretty cool, man. That was really cool. And I'm basically, I'm basically a local from Vermont now. So that was a part of the Vermont crew. Of course, I did get my Klondike bar. I really was tired, but the show was just amazing. It just was. And so I walked back, got my shower. I was already packed up, of course. My flight was early. I needed to be at the hotel by 6. I'm sorry, at the airport by 6. But I'm in the same position, I'm like, man, I'm just going to try to sleep some and then I'm going to roll out. Terminals open at 4 a.m. So I'm just like, man, I woke up at 2 a.m. So I guess I got about an hour and a half of sleep. I'm like, man, I'm not going to go back to sleep. So I kind of wrestled around for a little bit, and then finally I just got the Uber, the Lyft, and Muhammad took me to LGA. I'm riding through the streets in New York at 3:30 a.m., which still people are out, and got there, and man, so long, just at LaGuardia for so long. Um, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, the plane ride was easy, and the amazing thing is that with my Coke this time, they had the little Biscoff cookies, and I was so happy, and I was so happy, and maybe she knew I was so happy, or maybe they just had extras, but she came back around, and I got an extra pack of those Biscoff cookies, and oh man, and the clouds on the way home were just amazing and beautiful. And I get home and I land, and I'll tell you what, like in my box, I guess I'd put the Biscoff cookies on my Insta story, and my boss and friend and boss um, had flown to Minnesota, and he put some Biscoff cookies in my box. Oh man, it was just amazing. Was just amazing. So got back home, and then we get back home, and it's New Year's Eve. As soon as I get home, about 30 minutes later, Sarah and Sid take off to go to Raleigh because they had the awesome package, the Pretty Girl in Raleigh package um, to see the Avett Brothers for New Year's, and that was amazing. And so Sam and all his guys were here at the house, and they had a fire um, because Sam's birthday is January 1st. And so New Year's Eve is always his birthday. He turned 20. And but I paid for the webcast to watch the fourth night of Fish. And the song that I was going up there was Lizards. And what the guy had told me at MoMA at the Museum of Modern Art was that they were going to recreate this whole story that Trey Anastasio wrote called Gamehenge, which was his senior thesis, blah, blah, blah. It's fish lore. But they did. They recreated the whole thing with like Broadway stars and people in costume and flying birds through Madison Square Garden and just the most beautiful music. And it was, I don't know, it was just staggering. And I'm still there. Like my friend David's, I think his mom said that she wasn't sure if he ever came back from that concert, and that's real. That's a real thing. But we're back to school now. Had 2 days. My new AP government class is underway. Still rocking along with AP Psych and AP Seminar, and working on some new things like adding in brain breaks and a new grading policy. Blah blah blah. I'm trying to do the 5 a.m. club as we get close to wrapping up here. I've been going to the Y fresh thing in the morning and doing the cardio, and so far it makes me really really tired and worn out after school. But I'm hoping that after some time it'll get easier. Um, the morning thing is not a problem at all. I've been doing this breakfast parfait. It's good. It is good. And now I'm just checking the weather for Hilton Head because Hilton Head, our 11th annual Hilton Head trip is coming up in just a few days. In fact, all things going as expected, will be there this time next week. So perhaps we'll do a special um, on location with our friends from Hilton Head, but most likely we'll be back in 2 weeks with episode 80 of the DT Madness. So the DT Madness is brought to you, well, it is a production, a Church of Six production, of course. Brought to you by the Bucket of Life, the Wall of Belief, the Foundation Tower of Stone, the Magic Rock ×2, the Rope of Relationship, and the Token of Hope. Nothing divine is desperate, and may all your circumstances serve to awaken compassion. Don't forget to be live, y'all, and believe. I told my students this week, they can see me in all these ways. They can see me as mayor, as a really decent and good teacher, and they could see me as having fun, and they could see me as having great kids and doing all the things that I love. But they don't know my whole story. They don't know the things that I go through. And that's true of all of us. And so I told him that's where grace comes in, and that's why grace is important. Instead of just peace, my friends, grace and peace, my friends.